It's the Reactors. Let's get straight to it.
Last night when the X-Pac got dropped off, I was like, I can't believe this thing. Told my wife, I was like, you gotta come out here and see this with the kids. We have America's aerial defense and offensive system that nobody knows about sitting in our front yard right now. It's crazy.
It is the first airplane in the history of airplanes that doesn't require a runway and doesn't require a human pilot. It's AI piloted and it's vertical takeoff, launch, and land. One of the big benefits comes from the ability to create a massive number of dilemmas by having geographically distributed long-range fires that can be launched from anywhere on the battlefield. Now, an adversary like China has to worry about every 20-foot by 20-foot spot of Earth on the planet. Basically, it forces them to redefine their invasion calculus.
So today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Amazon Delivery Glasses, a wearable companion we've designed specifically for delivery associates. The smart glasses use computer vision and AI technology built by our team to display real-time navigation and delivery instructions directly in the driver's field of vision. With this technology, drivers can confirm the right package they need to deliver before leaving their van and seamlessly capture proof of delivery photos at customer doorsteps. The glasses provide turn-by-turn navigation, guiding drivers to the exact delivery location without them having to repeatedly check a separate device. They also include hazard detection capabilities that act as an extra set of eyes for safety, detecting hazards like a dog in the yard and sharing that information with future drivers. So today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Amazon Delivery.
Entry denied. You have criticized the government.
Sorry, last week you purchased too much meat and now your access to your money has been denied.
You haven't let the government know about this trip and your access is denied.
You have gone over your carbon credit allowance of food this week and your access to food has been denied. A day in the life of UK school children 2035 with digital ID. You have gone over your electricity allowance this week and your access is denied. You have gone over your weekly travel limit and your access is denied.
Is the NBA rigged? It looks like the answer is yes. Head coach of the Blazers, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and Damon Jones have all been arrested in a massive crackdown by the FBI. Get this, not only these former and current NBA stars were rigging games and betting on them, but they also had an illegal gambling syndicate that was also rigged. Now these are two overlapping investigations, one of them being called Nothing But Bet, in which looking into fixed college games, NBA games, and illegal poker games that was rigged as well with this high-tech machinery defrauding the victims, which include a fixed card shuffler and an X-ray poker table that can look at the cards. Not only that, they also wore special lenses on their glasses to read pre-marked cards on the table. Now the question is, how or why were they doing all this? Well, it looks like they had some help from the mob. Turns out they were dealing with the La Cosa Nostra, which is a collection of Italian mob families. Gets even wilder, so Terry Rozier even faked an injury back in 2023, netting hundreds of thousands of dollars with inside information. But was it really that hard? Now looking back at these games, on how obvious, on how bad he was playing, you can tell he was totally rigging these games. But it gets even wilder. So Damon Jones used to be an assistant coach to LeBron, used that insider information that he got on LeBron and placed bets to win profits. Now I do find it odd that Gilbert Arenas just this past summer goes to jail for the same thing and gets out unscathed, and then all this happens. Then he actually does this on his show saying, I have an informant lunch, and on the back it says info, alluding to he may have been an informant. Now with all that being said, you want to know what I think? Here we go. Now, none of this is new. A former Raptor tipped off gamblers. He pled guilty to that. And Terry Rozier was investigated by the NBA, but they found nothing, right? And remember that these players were dealing with the mob in Vegas. Could this be out with the old, in with the new? Let's not forget, this just happened. Polymarket, which is a predicting betting platform, just got a $2 billion investment from the New York Stock Exchange. Now, could it be that private equity, which is crushing Vegas right now, big tech and government are taking over sports betting as a whole. Because what they're doing is they're showing you old problems, giving you new solutions, because we all knew that sports had been rigged for a very long time. I even asked NBA legend John Stockton if the NBA is rigged. Make sure you guys go check out that interview on YouTube. It's very interesting. But let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
I think that gambling technology was wild. With the X-ray sunglasses and that card machine that was rigged. Yo, that's wild. Shout out to Maverick Approach. I think $2 billion from the NYSC to Poly Market is very suspicious. It just doesn't make sense to me.
In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash.
Everyone is saying that 6.2 billion people are about to wake up on October 30th. Because on October 30th, there are 3 very real, very large cosmic events happening at the same time. First, the sun is reaching its solar maximum. This is the first time in 20 years that it's radiating this much energy. The comet's 3I Atlas is going to be the closest to the sun that it ever has been, and that's going to amplify electromagnetic charge. And then lastly, the Earth's magnetic field is hitting its lowest point in the cycle. Basically what that does is it allows higher frequencies to flow in. Then, when these 3 things overlap, the Earth's natural heartbeat, which you probably most commonly hear referred to as the Schumann resonance, it could spike far above its usual 7.83 hertz. I was reading some saying at least 10 times that, so about at least 78 hertz. Now, that frequency interacts with our own brainwaves. Okay, so when our brain's in like an alpha state, right? That is right around 7.83 hertz. Imagine your brain at 78 hertz. And these waves and this frequency is tied to intuition. It is tied to higher consciousness. It is tied to awakening. Spiritually, this means that the planet's vibration may shift, and billions of people could feel it. You can kind of think of it as like this mass activation. It's remembering who we really are underneath all of the crap and the noise. And by the way, if not everyone wakes up overnight, the collective energy field is still shifting. I just want you to imagine billions of souls beginning to feel that connection again, and what that means and what that looks like. Because we will be connecting across borders and languages and beliefs. A collective awakening can bring so many different things, but a collective awakening could mean governments being governed by peace. It could mean communities returning to care. It is individuals remembering their power to create, their power to heal, their power to love. October 30th is the beginning of a global reawakening. Ground into love. Breathe with Mother Earth, Gaia. Let your frequency rise with her. Because this awakening is not coming to you. It is coming through you.
Very interesting. It's like the second time I heard of this awakening on October 30th. Shout outs to Molly Pappas 111. Sounds like it's gonna be intense.
Sí, señor. No es un huevo de ñandú.
Por eso se quedaron como 2 horas más, ¿no?
Los engañamos cuando veníamos caminando. Nos encontramos con un nido que es increíble. Nunca vimos algo así. Nunca vimos un huevo tan bien preservado. No, esto es una locura total.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's something called second screen viewing, right? So it's a directive that's being handed out by big studios to filmmakers.
Please, this sounds like what I'm really hoping it isn't.
It is exactly what you probably think it is.
This is something that stands up to...
Which means that you have to acknowledge that people are on their phones the whole time they're watching telly. So you have to simplify the plot so that they'll be able to follow along while they're browsing on their phone. So that's why you'll notice now in random, like in TV shows, even with good actors, they're saying really obvious things about what's happening. They're laying out the entire plot line, and all of their emotions and motivations. Like the language has become really bait and on the nose. And that's because they're being told, the writers, that they have to write in a way that someone can carry on with doom scrolling or shopping online while following it in the background. So nothing can be too complex, nothing can be too high end. It has to be like we are purposefully dumbing down content, and that is leading to a less nuanced, less interesting, less thoughtful society.
It's not the end of the world, and it's not going to be for a long time. I mean, it does end for a whole bunch of people every day, and yet the world remains. If you want to understand what's happening right now, or what's about to happen, well, just know that what's about to happen has everything to do with how you're behaving right now. Because though the world is full of people, no two people are getting the same experience. Let me say that again for you. No two people even can experience the same reality. The laws of physics are universal. Experiences vary greatly, don't they? You don't know what it's like to be me any more than I know what it's like to be you. It's all quite relative while also being cause and effect deterministic. How you behave today is going to decide what your tomorrow looks like, but no one has promised such a thing. However, if you get one, it's definitely going to include the outcome of your own decisions, while also being impacted directly and indirectly by the decisions of others. These things are both true. Now, when I say to y'all that history repeats, I mean in this way, Fibonacci sequence. You can see that though it is cyclical, it's not a circle, it spirals out as it goes. The pattern repeats and gets bigger as it does. And such is world history. I like to think of world history in the terms of ages or worlds. I think there's been at least 4 worlds or 4 ages on the face of this earth. Call me crazy, but I believe that the Stone Age was the time before Noah's flood, when they were building all those megalithic structures all over the face of the earth. Now, my version doesn't quite jive with academia. For this reason specifically, I'll just tell you. I believe that looking back on the historical record or looking back in time is like using an old-fashioned magnifying glass, where in the center it's very clear, but on the edges, the further you go from the center, the more distorted and larger the image becomes. I believe that deep time is an illusion, where the further back you look, the longer it seems you're looking. Because you cannot move the magnifying glass to discover exactly what it was. The center of the magnifying glass is the present, right now. Any looking back in time is the edge where it gets distorted and looks bigger than it actually is. That's my theory anyway. Welcome to my TED Talk. So how long does an age take? Well, it's relative. I don't believe 1500 years now means what 1500 years used to. Stuff like the earth is spinning much slower than it was, whether you believe in that or not, just whatever's happening there, used to be happening much faster. Stuff like the earth used to revolve around the sun much faster than it does now. The solar system, if you believe in it or not, whatever's happening there, is a machine, much like an atom or a cell or a human body, where all the processes aren't just happening for no reason. That's what makes everything what it is. It's making reality, if you will. It's making our reality and influencing it directly. Without the sun, who are we? Without the moon, neither are we. It's all dependent on everything that's in it to be what it is. Of course, just like the cells in your body count and work together to make your organs function together in unison to make your body alive, right? Just like the leg bone is connected to the knee bone, so is Jupiter connected to absorbing a bunch of space debris so it don't hit the Earth. And the geological forces on the Earth, and so also the weather, is dictated by the sun and the moon. Now, when I say that time does this right here, it does, but it gets bigger as it goes, if you will. I consider the first world or age to be from Adam to Noah, and that world ended in a flood. The human population bottlenecked to just 8 people. I think the second world or age was from Noah to Moses, and that age ended in 1450 BC in the Valley of Armageddon, where the Egyptian Pharaoh records that vile prince of the north has gathered all the armies together in the Valley of Megiddo. That sounds like the biblical narrative and the revelation of Jesus Christ. Yes, indeed it does. Of course, the end of the world spreads out from where it happens, and that takes a little time. By the time that reached up through the Levant to the northern Mediterranean there, it's called the Bronze Age collapse, where civilization collapsed and was followed by a Dark Ages, where it was definitely reborn, bigger and better than before. At the end of the second world, I'll call it, we had the Mycenaeans, the Hittites, the Minoans, and the Babylonians all fell, but what followed was the Greeks, the Persians, the Romans, etc. Yes, Neo-Assyria and also Neo-Babylon, but then the Persians, Bigger and better than before, more globalization after it killed the previous age. It's like a nuclear bomb went off in the Valley of Megiddo, and the ripples of that spread out through time. Took about 300 years for what actually started there to culminate in the Bronze Age collapse, which definitely included sea peoples. We'll talk about them later if you want. Again, I've talked about them a whole bunch already. The Sherdan is the tribe of Dan in Sardinia. The Denian are the tribe of Dan that settled up in the Aegean. Drought, a dry and thirsty land where no water is. Can you imagine? Earthquakes in diverse places. Some of them fellas built their civilizations right on a fault line, of all places. Who would do such a thing like that, LA? Volcanoes that blocked out the sky with clouds of ash and brought famine. Climate change. You think all that happens for no reason? No, it happens because things are changing. Something new is being born. What? An age. An age is ending, a new age is being born. Disease, pestilence, you get the idea. Did the sea peoples burn civilizations to the ground in a scorched earth policy? Yeah. And yet volcanoes did block out the sky. Weird, it all happened at once. Over the course of 300 years. It wasn't instant, it was accumulative. Takes a while for these things to come to fruition. For an old age to bear its fruit. What is that? The new age. Just like a man bears fruit and has the next generation of children with his wife. I mean, he don't do that by himself. Hey, there's a metaphor there. Yep, there is. For the rise and fall of civilizations also. The Mycenaeans fell so that the Greeks could be born. Who married into the Mycenaeans to become the Greeks? That tribe of... Who was Bela? She wasn't from one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Rachel couldn't have children, and so she gave Jacob her handmaid Bela. And so what, did Dan just return to their roots? Wait, is that not the same story as Sarah giving Hagar to Abraham because she couldn't have kids either, she thought, even though God had promised her she could and would have a son? And Hagar bore Ishmael, who fights against Isaac to this day as prophesied. Just as Dan fought against Judah? Is just history repeating, fam? While the effects of what happened with Sarah and Abraham and Hagar are still being felt, that story has repeated and is being felt in 2 different ways now, and it's repeated again. It's being felt in 3 different ways now. The effects of that story repeating keeps being the story of how nations are born to this day, even if it's metaphorical in this age. And it must be, because back in Abraham's day, we're talking about people who we give a name to. In our day, we're talking about the nations that they became. And so you can see how the story was small but got bigger. That's how. What's this got to do with World War III? Well, you'll notice that World War I, World War II, now World War III, it's getting to look more and more like Armageddon each go-round. The ability to destroy becoming much bigger, even if it appears more subtle for a time. And just like the story of Armageddon happened in 1450 BC, it's happening again right now that we're shaping up for another world war, like unto Armageddon, and what is accompanying it once more. Of course, earthquakes and volcanoes and floods and pestilence. It's just one story repeating. But this is not the end of our age. World War I was not the end. World War II was not the end. World War III is not the end. It's not called Armageddon, it's called World War III. If it was the end, it'd be called Armageddon. It's not, it's World War III. You ever start an old truck? The story repeats as World War I and World War II and World War III because it's trying to get big enough to be Armageddon. Just like the starter in a truck turns the engine over until it can run. What should we do then? The meek shall inherit the earth. Jesus told us what to do every day until the end of the world, which ain't happening anytime soon. I'm sorry to tell some of y'all, because it hurts your feelings, and that hurts mine too. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news such as the world's not about to end. We're gonna have to be here for a while longer yet. Gonna have to find a purpose and serve it, otherwise you're gonna be bored. I suggest Jesus Christ has told us everything to do until the end of the world. And it's just love one another, overcome evil with good. That doesn't mean act evil and expect that you can vanquish evil being evil. You cannot. Evil can only be overcome with good, otherwise it's just evil multiplied. You can trade one devil for another and get hell, or you can follow Jesus till the day you die and get heaven. I do suggest loving one another, following Jesus into heaven. Watch how it turns out for you.
Shout outs to the bearer of bad news that the world is not ending anytime soon. The one and only Dead Hit It. I agree, history repeats itself and things go in cycles. It's toroidal, but it's not the end of the world. I like how he used it as a parallel to the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, this is pattern recognition at its best. From cellular DNA to the solar system.
Hello, my friends. In Berlin, 1936, Albert Speer, the Nazi architect, built a ballroom for Adolf Hitler. A grand reception hall behind the Reichskanzlei, or the Chancellery, was marble and light above and a bunker below. They called it the Festsaal mit Wintergarten, or the reception hall with a winter garden. It was a place for ceremony raised on concrete meant for survival. You see, the floor for dancing was the roof of the Vorbunker, or the bunker, and its slab was 1.5 meters thick, because even power needs somewhere to hide when the sky falls. And that hall, as you probably know, it's gone now, it's erased by war, but its idea lingers that beauty can be built to disguise fear, that spectacle can be a kind of camouflage. And now, nearly a century later, the east wing of the White House, as you know, is being torn down, it's being razed to make room for another ballroom. But this time it's 90,000 square feet of golden grandeur, 12 times larger than Hitler's. A room so vast, it could practically swallow the old Chancellery whole. And of course they say it's for state dinners, for pageantry, and for pride. But keep this in mind, the East Wing sits above the PEOC, the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, the bunker of the nuclear age, the place built for when everything else fails. And did you know that cameras are barred from the excavation, that staff are warned not to take pictures, that permits were filed after the walls had been taken down? Protocol, the quiet grammar of democracy, is totally skipped. You see, the renter of the people's house, because the president is the renter of the people's house, has knocked down the foundations without even waiting for permission. And okay, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's only marble and chandeliers again. Maybe it's just another room for, I don't know, respectable spectacle? For keeping us dazzled, keeping us twirling, keeping us in awe, while the thread of war, or the threat of war, hums beneath our feet. But I'll tell you something, history has an echo, a ballroom over a bunker, then and now. A symbol of power, pretending it's safety. And when the music starts, my friends, note this, we should listen not to the violins, but to the sound under the floor, the low, unfinished hum of something being built for what they're not yet saying out loud. And I'll be back.
Kind of like what Dead Hidden was talking about, how history repeats itself. Very fascinating. Shout out to the MD Global Mom. Definitely looking forward to her next post.
And you can't break this line until it hits the rim. That's what we'll change the rule. Lord have mercy. Please make it. Now that was pressure, man. I ain't been in a while. I was nervous.
That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed the video, please consider to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.